Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today we'll be answering some burning questions about the horror movie Smile. Fans want to know, where did the twist at the end come from? Is Smile just a remake of the Ring movies? What wild publicity stunt did directors pull? Stay tuned to find out all this and more. First up, where did the cruel twist at the end of Smile come from? If you're a Stephen King fan and you felt a faint sense of deja vu at the conclusion of Smile, there's a reason for that. It's because the ending of the movie is borrowed from Stephen King's 2007 novel 1408. The ending of this horror story ends with a writer named Mike being tortured by the hotel room's sadistic supernatural tricks. Mike ends up escaping the room by burning it down and reunites with his lover, or so he thought. It turned out that he was really still in the hotel room, so he burns it down again, perishing within so that he can end the cursed room's existence once and for all. Sounds eerily close to the ending of Smile, right? As a refresher, Smile ends with the heroine of the movie, Rose, escaping the entity that had been torturing her and fleeing from a burning building. She's then reunited with her lover, or so she thought. Just like Mike in 1408, Rose in Smile ends up being fooled by the evil entity. She realizes this right as her actual love interest arrives at the cabin to witness Rose's grotesque death. The evil being not only kills her, but crawls inside her mouth and controls her as if she were a puppet in her final moments. The movie really looked over at Stephen King's triple twist ending to 1408, gave it a nod, and then proceeded to create an even more horrific ending. Next on the list, why does Smile sound so much like The Ring? We noticed it too. Both of these horror movies seem to have a lot in common. Both movies feature transferable curses and having a ticking clock to stick to in order to defeat them. Additionally, both of these movies are based on novel. The Ring is based on a 1991 novel of the same name. At first glance, it definitely seems like this is just a fresh take on an older series of horror movies. However, it's so much better than another remake of The Ring. Both movies share plenty of similarities, but there are also some vast differences between both movies. Let's dive in a bit deeper into how the movies are based on a similar premise, but are also unique in their own ways and share their own story. Refresh my memory. What do both movies have in common? As we know, Smile follows a psychiatrist named Rose who becomes cursed by an entity after witnessing one of her clients being tormented and tortured by it. Once her client reaches the point of anguish that she takes her own life, the entity is then transferred along to Rose. Rose then has a week to successfully escape from the curse before the same cruel fate happens to her too. This is similar to The Ring, where there is a cursed videotape and everyone who views it has a week to copy and pass it along. Anyone who failed to do so before 7 days passed would then have Samara show up and murder them. Both movies have a curse that's passed along in a chain of events, leaving a path of death behind. Both movies also have the same timeline for the victim to find a way to escape death and get rid of the curse. Next up, let's discuss some differences. In The Ring, victims are actually lured in by their own fascination for watching the VHS tape. The trap is set, and once they get baited into it, their only option is to pass it along to someone else. This created a never-ending chain of the curse, as well as capturing people's morbid fascination. The conflict in Smile is more personal, and Rose received the curse via her regular job. She is forced to deal with the evil entity constantly, and the smile infects everyone that she meets. Everywhere she goes, the threat is there and looming all around her, reminding her that she needs to find a solution, and quickly. The entity in Smile makes all of its victims do the same thing. If you haven't seen the movie, you can probably still guess what it makes them do. It makes them all smile. However, The Ring has a clear solution, where Smile does not. Another variation between the two movies is that the entities behind the curse are different. In The Ring, Samara is patiently waiting for each and every person to watch the tape. The victims in the Ring movies are left alone to pass along the curse and save themselves. Once the victim's time is up, then they die. At least they get to spend their final week in peace, while trying to puzzle out a way to get the curse passed along from them. Meanwhile, in Smile, poor Rose is tormented everywhere she goes. The entity is not defined as a singular monster, as in most horror movies. Instead, this entity turns other characters in the movie into twisted versions of themselves, torturing the victim until time is up. Why does this beat another remake? For starters, the Ring movies are already pretty abundant. There are already 12 movies in total, 8 in the original Japanese franchise, 3 in the American version of the series, and 1 Korean remake. In addition, there are also 2 TV shows, 6 manga adaptations, and numerous video games. It definitely would have been pretty easy to work Smile into this lineup and make it another installment in the series. However, Smile is its own standalone movie and takes a familiar story and places its own original twist on it. While the ending of The Ring definitely scared and shocked people, it doesn't even hold a candle to the horror-filled ending viewers saw at the end of Smile. Remakes of movies are a dime a dozen these days, and The the remake usually always lets fans down. We saw this happen all too well with the final Ring movie, and Smile was way too original to lump into that series. Viewers don't want multiple versions of the same movie. They want a classic storyline filled with brand new content and creativity. Isn't that why people watch horror movies in the first place? For the thrill and the shock of it? Could we see another remake of Smile in the future? The movie sets itself up to have another spin-off follow behind it, or maybe even have a prequel released. While the protagonist of the movie is dead, the entity is surely still out there. Before her death, Rose witnessed the traumatic death of one of her patients who was afflicted with the evil entity. After this, Rose took a look around and realized plenty of similar cases were happening. Then, she did what we all know that you should not do in a horror movie. She pursued the issue and started doing some investigating of her own. In doing so, she put herself in jeopardy and ultimately led to her own demise. She did discover that patients started developing their freaky, unnerving smiles a few days after seeing the entity. She also found a man who encountered the spirit but was still alive, unlike all of the other victims. This man gave Rose hope that she could discover a way to survive. She died, but the entity still roams, as well as a survivor. This indicates that there is a solution out there. It just remains undiscovered. We know we just said that remakes usually don't turn out as successfully as the original movie, but maybe there is some hope for Smile. After all, this movie was definitely creepier than the Ring movies. Producers have plenty of material to work with to create another thriller along the same storyline. There hasn't been any mention of if this will happen yet, but we definitely think we might see another Smile movie haunting screens everywhere before long. Did the Ring movies inspire Smile? Actually, the Ring movies were not a factor in writing the plot for Smile. Smile is based off of Laura Hasn't Slept, a 2020 short film from Parker Finn. After releasing the short film, Finn then went on to write and direct the movie Smile. It is his feature directorial debut. The movie has been enthusiastically received ever since it was released at the end of September. The film has received mostly positive reviews from critics who loved the jump scares, unsettling tone, and cast performances. Don't go anywhere. We're about to reveal an interesting piece of trivia about Smile. What bold marketing stunt did the directors pull? Leading up to the movie's release, Paramount producers undertook a creative and strategic marketing stunt. They hired paid actors to appear places in public sporting the sadistic signature grin the movie is titled for. Actors appeared behind home plate at Major League Baseball games and even during a broadcast of Good Morning America. This publicity stunt created a buzz on social media leading up to the release of the movie. This surely spread awareness and made people flock to theaters to see this horror movie. Interestingly enough, Smile was originally intended to only stream on Paramount Plus, but it scored so well in front of a test audience that it earned a theatrical release. Smile grossed over $22 million over its opening weekend. That's all for today. Let us know what you thought of the movie Smile below in the comments. Thanks for tuning in.